Welcome to Two Travel Dads Podcast. Here we share our favorite destinations, travel tips, stories from our adventures, and bring on awesome guests to share insights into their travelsome lives. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and check out our detailed show notes at twotraveldads.com/podcast-episodes. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Two Travel Dads Podcast. I'm Rob.
I'm Chris.
And we are still talking about Peru. When you spend 2 weeks in Peru, you have a lot to talk about. So today we are going to dig into our time in the Andes, which
went up to like 12,000 feet.
A little more than that. 12,163 feet was our cap.
There you
go. Which is a bit much, and we will definitely get into that and talk about that. And also, just in case I forget, you cannot get Andes mints in the Andes. I did not see them in any little shop that I went into. So just...
No, not possible.
Yeah. You know, I thought maybe it might be something that's actually from there, but nope. No relation. Anyways, though, so yeah, the Andes, that's where you find Machu Picchu and the Sacred Valley and Cusco and all kinds of cool stuff. We flew there from Lima, which was a mistake. So
flying from Lima to Cusco was a mistake?
I think so.
Oh.
So if you've got the time, what is recommended is that you actually take your time to get up to Cusco elevation by driving up or going via bus, and then spending a few nights, a few thousand feet up, a few nights, a couple more thousand feet up until you get up to Cusco, where you're up at 11,000 feet. We did not do that. We just flew directly there.
We went from 0 to 11,000 feet.
Exactly, 0 to 11,000 feet, which we live at sea level. So once we pass like that 5,000 feet, we start to feel it. And yeah.
And we felt it.
It was unpleasant. So one of the options that some people have is there's a sickness or an elevation altitude sickness medicine that you can take before you go, and once you're there, that helps you acclimate. It's called Diamox, and you can talk to your doctor about it if you're planning a trip like this. We talked to our doctor, and it was not an option for us because if you're allergic to certain things, then it's just not an option, and that was us. So we didn't get to take that as kind of like a buffer to help us. So we were just going with the drink lots and lots of water and get good rest and all that stuff. But altitude sickness still hit us hard. It was, what was it, like day 2, day 3?
I think it was day 2 and day 3.
Yeah, day 2 and day 3, yes.
Yeah.
So we got...
I mean, the best part, though, was that it did, and, it hit us. However, it didn't impact our ability to go see the sites that we wanted to see, which is great.
Yeah, that's true. But... yeah, there was a lot of vomiting. And
yeah. Public vomiting, all of that fun, great stuff. Just make sure. I think when you travel, make sure that you have backup tissues, backup toilet paper, paper towels, tummy medicine,
all
Pepto, 100%. Bring Pepto. Just have that on your person.
And you know what?
You never know when you're going to need it.
And especially, actually, even if you aren't worried about getting sick or think that you're going to have elevation problems,
still have
or anything,
all of those things.
Especially the tissue and toilet paper, because it is very. What's a good way to put it? It's very rationed.
Uncommon. It is uncommon to go use a bathroom and there will be toilet paper.
Yeah, usually there's no toilet paper. And a lot of times you'll need to pay
you're paying 2 soles.
2 soles to use a restroom.
And they give you 4 sheets. That's might be 2-ply.
Maybe, but it might just be a paper towel. Anyways, though, especially if you're not feeling good, you need to make sure that you are well equipped with your own supplies that do not go into the toilet, but go into a trash can near the toilet. Yeah. I think that's good for talking about potty stuff.
Sure. No, I mean, just make sure you have those supplies on hand.
Be well ready. Anyways, though, but the whole elevation sickness thing, altitude sickness that really got us was, it was after day 2, because we had gotten to Cusco and then gone with our driver. He met us at the airport and then drove us to Ollantaytambo, which it was interesting because as we were...
That was quite a drive.
It was quite a drive, but as we were leaving Cusco, which Cusco was like this maze of streets, it's absolutely wild.
And if you don't know, it's like the Inca Empire capital.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's a ton of history there. We didn't get to see it, but
Yeah. So this is a really, really old city built on alleyways and staircases. And then there is now roads that go all through it. But as we were leaving, all of a sudden our driver was like, hey, we need to stop. But we had to really work through our language barrier on that one, because he had us get out of the car but leave our luggage, which felt weird. So I brought my backpack with like my camera gear and our passports and wallets and all that stuff. And he said that we needed to just walk on the road for a little bit, and then he would meet us up ahead, because he was not authorized to carry passengers out of Cusco, which was odd.
because we were passing a police checkpoint.
Yeah, it was a police checkpoint. So the four of us got out and started walking uphill out of Cusco, and he drove off with our luggage. But then once he went through the police checkpoint, he pulled over and we were able to get back in the car. And yeah.
Continue. Yeah.
But I'll tell you,
strange.
that was odd. And then, yeah, we had a nice drive to Ollantaytambo, which was absolutely beautiful as we like headed through the Sacred Valley, and we got to see the cliff hotels. And then our driver was again confused, and
Well, we just ended up off on the side of the road, like in a weird spot, meaning he did not read the instructions correctly on Google Maps and took this side road that went off. We were driving right next to train tracks by the river off on a weird dirt road, and we kept going for quite some time. And then
in pitch black darkness.
And thankfully he had a decent car. And then we ended up at this one spot where it's like, boom, like the river's right there. We can't go any further. You can't cross the river in a car. But he thought maybe it's possible.
Yeah, so he actually got out, walked down to the river to evaluate if there was a spot for us to be able to drive across it. No, this literally no.
He had his hand on his head, like he's thinking, how do I do this?
So I jumped out of the car and was like, I'm sorry, no, this isn't an option. We have to get back in the car and turn around. We cannot do this. Go back. There is a road. We'll get on it. And so we turned around and did that. And then
It was ridiculous.
right as we're leaving the scary dirt road, we cross the train tracks, and right after we cross, a train goes over.
Serious. I mean, it was just like perfect timing.
Good times. So it's funny. I think maybe it's like our first or second podcast episode we ever recorded was about Nova Scotia, and when we got stuck in the forest in Nova Scotia because we were following a bad Google map that had taken us on a snowmobile route,
yeah.
and we got stuck off-road and had to get towed backwards up a hill. This was worse than that.
Worse than that.
So much scarier. But we made it to our really cool hotel.
We did. Beautiful hotel.
Oh, yeah. So
Del Pilar.
yeah, I found this place actually using American Airlines hotels. So like if we're going to be staying in hotels, let's see if we can get some miles for it, because Chris has explained this to me, and now I understand. Wow, when you actually book through American Airlines hotels, you're paying the same price as like Expedia or something like that, but you're also getting miles and loyalty points. So I did that for as many of our stays as possible, including this super cool place in the Sacred Valley where they had alpacas on property. We had a really cool like 2-bedroom bungalow loft sort of place with a balcony and big living room, and it was absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
And
Perfect
really,
place to puke at night.
yeah. So so day 2, we woke up in this beautiful place, and it was gorgeous. Had a lovely breakfast.
I mean,
and-
we got to see like the mountains, huge, like the windows. There's
Yeah.
windows everywhere, and you get to see. It's just so beautiful.
you wake up surrounded by the Andes, and they're unlike any other mountains I've seen.
Gorgeous.
Really green and lush and amazing. Always a couple clouds hanging out. Really cool. But yeah, so then our first morning waking up there, Oscar showed up, and what was his company called? Exclusive Inca Experience. That's what it was.
There you go.
And
Perfect.
he was one of the best tour guides I've ever had for anything. He was so knowledgeable, and he picked us up in his really nice van, and we started visiting all the cool sites of the Sacred Valley. We started
We started in Ollantaytambo.
which is the coolest town also.
It's so cool.
It has like streams running through the town.
It has their water infrastructure.
Yeah. It has the original like Inca water system, which is just so cool. And it's all ancient and beautiful. And yeah, so we started.
Functional. Yeah.
Yeah, we started there at the Ollantaytambo actual archaeological site that just climbs up the hills there's a temple, there's old granaries, there's terraces, It is the most fascinating
Storage facilities.
Yeah. It's the most fascinating architecture ever because you've got these absolutely giant rocks that are precision cut and fitted together to build.
They're like perfect puzzle pieces.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Like how do you do that when you have you don't have horses, you don't have wheels, you just have human power. And that's it.
It was astounding.
There's huge rocks, precision cut, perfect fitting, completely innovative stuff for their time.
Yeah, and then there's the whole farming system built into all that as well.
Yeah, all the terraces
and the water and irrigation system, and it's really fascinating. So even if you're not into history or cool stuff, you're gonna think it's cool. The kids thought it was awesome. So we did that, and it was really cool and special. That was our first stop, and then from there, where did he take us? He took us off to
Moray,
which was winding through quinoa farms and wheat fields. And it's funny because you go from like this ancient town with rushing streams and cobblestone and all that to all of a sudden being out in the middle of farm country.
Yep.
And when we got up to Moray, that was another Inca site. And it was like the big Inca agricultural lab where they have these big, I don't know if not craters.
Well, kind of. I mean, it's kind of like a crater. I mean, it's a big, call it a huge divot. Like, they didn't build them. They didn't dig it out.
Yeah.
It was just a natural crater.
Like sinkhole.
Natural sinkhole, where they figured out that in Peru, and I talked about this before, there's 125 different microclimates in the world, and Peru has 85 of them. They learned that there, of course, are different temperatures at different elevation, and they learned how to grow non-native crops in different types in this setting, in this natural crater. And they had terraces, and so they could build some stuff at one temperature way down below, different temperatures, of course, as you continue to go up in elevation.
And then hybridize all these different crops that they brought in from the coast and from other regions.
And if you have not been to Peru, when you go, you learn it's all about the potato.
Oh my gosh.
How many different types of potatoes?
Like
120? I don't know. So many
different
different types of potatoes. And you'll get them like 85 different ways.
And every meal comes with at least one form of potato, sometimes 3 different forms of potatoes. Yeah. By the time we were done in the Andes, I was completely over potatoes.
I never had a potato salad.
I kind of had a potato salad. I had like a cold clumpy mashed potato dish with avocado and stuff.
Okay.
It was like a Peruvian potato salad. It was pretty, so I took a picture of it.
Okay. So that was Moray. I mean, we didn't spend a lot of time there, but I mean, we learned a lot again about the microclimates. It was super fascinating, and you're just seeing I think the cool part is you're seeing all these terraces, right? But also, so Peruvian people are still short, and so the Incas are very short, but they built these amazing stairs in their terraces, so you would see floating stones coming out, because that's how they navigated and went up and down, of course, to get to the different terraces. Super cool.
That doesn't necessarily have to do with the stature of Peruvian people. Other places it was really clear because the doorways are all very, very small.
Yeah, I'm just saying this is what they tell you when you're there.
Yeah. But Moray was cool, and then from there, where did we go? We went on to
the salt mines.
Yeah, we went through Salinas del Maras, which was the ancient terraced salt mines. There's a lot of terraces in Peru.
Oh, so many. Everywhere.
But this is one of the coolest places. So there's this in this valley, there is a spring that
doesn't stop running.
Yeah, it doesn't stop running, and it flows over all these sodium deposits. And so salt water is just gushing out of the hill. So now, for 800 years or something, they've been just building up this. It's basically a salt farm, not a salt mine, but they call it the mine.
700 families or something in there.
Yeah, and families they've got their plots in the salt farm that they've had for hundreds of years, and people take care of them, and the salt water flows down through the terraces, and then as it dries, there's just channels and little irrigation canals everywhere, and the divert water and all that stuff. But then it goes through several different drying processes for everything from making flor de sal, like the really wonderful, yummy salt crystals you sprinkle on fancy food, to table salt, to the type of, or no, that's not where the the road salt came from. The road salt came from a different place.
Road salt came from Paracas.
Yeah, we went to several salt places, but just the coolest place that visually stunning. Just all of these like checkerboard pools of salt and
Water.
just colors of water and mud and salt.
Yep.
And
they give you
awesome.
what was kind of cool is that like you pay your entrance fee and they give you a bag of salt.
Yeah. Fancy
And then
salt.
of course like you get back to Ollantaytambo and other places in Sacred Valley, you can buy the different salts and stuff that they make from that place.
Yeah, it's really cool. It was actually, I think, one of my favorite places. Going through, I didn't do like tons of like social media and making videos and stuff. That was, I think, the only video I actually posted when we were in the Sacred Valley, was just sharing the craziness of the salt farm. I thought it was so cool. But after that was a really cool place that Elliot and Oliver thought was just awesome. Our guide Oscar, his buddy opened this really cool retreat up in the Andes right before COVID, and so and then COVID hit and tourism died and all that. So he's got it reopened again and really like growing it. It is called Mountain View, and it's got a really cool restaurant and then
Really
some
cute little cabins.
yeah, glamping cabins and tents and stuff.
Glamping cabins for sure.
But the thing that makes it so cool, besides the setting, you've got the Andes all around you, looking across these valleys, and there's mountains. There's llamas everywhere. Like, I don't know.
Like in the restaurant.
Like, yeah, they're all along out on the patio, out in the yard.
And in the restaurant.
And in the restaurant, like they can kind of come in if the door
They
gets
can
left
come
open.
in the restaurant. But it's that's expected, and people love it. So,
and they've got people cleaning and stuff too.
well, yeah,
so.
for sure. It's not gross. It's a beautiful place, but no, they come in the restaurant and they have a whole entire like container of basically corn husks and other food that they put out there specifically so guests can go grab a basket, put in some llama food, and then be around to go feed the llamas.
You just walk outside and voila, you just hold it out and they come.
Or
and,
inside.
Or inside,
at
yeah.
your table.
Yeah, but it's the coolest experience because it's good food and you're in such a magical setting surrounded by llamas.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's exactly what you dream of having, like a Peruvian Andes experience. Loved it. And then after that, we kind of rounded out our day of exploring in the Sacred Valley by visiting. This was our highest point. Chinchero, which is such a cool city. And they're actually building an airport there that will be the highest international airport in the world, over 12,000 feet. And I'll tell you, we really felt it being over 12,000 feet.
Sure did.
Because even though, we parked to go up to the
I was done.
Yeah, it was visible that you were done. We parked up by the archaeological site and went into the park where there's just all these really cool old buildings that are built on top of Inca and pre-Inca structures. And then the coolest old church that it was so ornate, and it was Spanish, and it had Inca influences with like...
I think that was the coolest part, was the hearing how they integrated like Incan religion and culture into Christian religion and culture.
It was fascinating.
Yeah.
Like from like a study of religion perspective
and change management
and world domination, like how they were able to convince the Inca people to convert to
Your
Catholicism.
sun god is this god.
Yeah, they literally the imagery, they made it match up with Inca.
Inti.
Made it match with Inca imagery. Fascinating. Yeah. Oh, but also the church had tiny doors.
Well, yeah,
that's where there were lots of tiny doors too, and we got to see burros, carrying crops and stuff through,
or
through
stuff
the
falling off and the donkey freaking out.
Yeah,
that
was great. Yeah, good times. But Chichero was really cool, but that elevation was really, I think, what really did it in for everybody.
Yeah, we ended at the height.
Yeah,
I mean it was just 12,000
and
feet.
just walking back to the car was huffing and puffing, and we all got in the van and were
ready to go back.
Hardcore fatigue.
And that's when both Oliver and Elliot were puking at night.
Yeah, so then super fun. Middle of the night, we heard all kinds of commotion repeatedly going. It was all that.
I mean, if you've ever watched The Goonies and heard like Chunk at the, what happened in I mean, it was just puking.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Anyways, so that lasted literally all night long with both kids, and which was a bummer because the next day was, heading to Aguas Calientes, which is, Machu Picchu town. But we mustered and we're like, we don't have a place to stay here, and we have train tickets, so
We
let's
had
just
to
go.
get to the train. We just had to go.
Yeah. So
And the boys rallied. They were good.
Yeah, they were good, and then Oliver puked in the train station in Ollantaytambo.
Yeah, out the mouth and nose.
And then we had that beautiful, really, the train ride was fantastic. It was beautiful as we went along the Urumbambe River, and there was music and performance
It
and
was great.
snacks.
I mean, so Grant, like Oliver, like after puking at the train station, he's like, I feel great.
Yeah.
Like that, and then he ate all his quinoa snacks, because he loves his snacks.
And as we lowered, so we went down 3,000 feet in elevation from the train station in Ollantaytambo down to Aguas Calientes. So it was kind of great. As we got there, we all kind of felt better, even though once we got there, Elliot puked on the train and then puked in the train station again. But then we were good.
Yeah, we were. And then because we got to our next hotel spot, which was...
We stayed in the coolest, funny place. It was the Rupa High
Rupa.
Jungle B&B.
Yeah. And so we had this really great room. We had to wait a bit for it. But once we got it, we set up some Netflix, set up a movie, and the
Had a
kids
day
got
of
to
recovery.
Just, relax and watch some Netflix.
Yeah.
And,
And the whole there's a big open air living room up on the very top floor for all guests, and then our room that we had also had our own private covered balcony looking out over Aguas Calientes, which is another really fascinating town because it's not old like Cusco or Chinchero. It's old. What they say, it was they started building it in the 70s.
yeah, but you see some Asian influence in there though too, with
It
some
looks-
of the structure. It reminded me of parts of Shanghai.
It looks like Yan'an in northern China, zigzaggy narrow streets with it's very
But just
rural
with
Chinese architecture.
the architecture and
Yeah.
the bump outs and stuff of the buildings up top with some
Yeah.
really cool wood, ornate wood carvings and things like that.
If there
It
were
was
no
really
words
cool.
on anything, I would have not guessed that we were in Peru, but I would have guessed China. It was really interesting. But then it's really also a super cool town because you got another
beautiful town.
river. The river runs right next to it, and then you've got this big stream running through it with all these footbridges all over, and there's no cars or anything. It's super cool, and the train comes
You're in
directly.
what they call
in
the
there.
high jungle.
Yeah, the high jungle,
Yeah.
or the cloud forest.
That too.
The cloud forest. Either way. And also there's parakeets flying everywhere, which is super cool. So we did that, and it was great, and we chilled out, and everybody felt way
Yeah,
better.
drink Gatorade and
We
had some
drank
good
so
food.
much Gatorade. And then the next morning, Percy met us at our place. He was our next guide. We had lots of guides.
I think they were critical though.
Yeah,
Super
oh my
important to have.
gosh. It made the entire trip so much less stressful.
Yeah, then we got waited in line for the bus in the morning, got
Mm-hmm.
on our bus, which I was I don't want to say it was scary, but I heard all these stories oh my gosh, the bus going up to Machu Picchu. It's so frightening. You're on this teeny tiny road. You look down and you see all the buses that have fallen off the cliff. No, this thing was a piece of cake. Just get on the bus. A super nice Mercedes, Sprinter, AC,
It was a great bus ride. I will say though,
Well
there was a couple
orchestrated.
moments where I looked out the window and we were on a cliff.
I mean, yeah, you're on it is, but not. It was not scary at all.
But then we got to the top. And so if you haven't been to Machu Picchu, or if you're planning Machu Picchu, when you go to get your tickets or plan a tour, you'll
Plan early.
Plan early, because when I went to get tickets, we couldn't get them, which was jarring, which is why we hired a guide. And then it ended up being great that we actually had a guide because he was able to get tickets, and he was one of the most knowledgeable, passionate people ever. So Percy was awesome, and I'll have a link in the show notes to how you can find him in that company. But we went on Circuit 4. So there's 4 different circuits to be able to tour around Machu Picchu. And we were on Circuit 4, which is the least visited. Still amazing. You still get all the awesome Machu
I felt
Picchu
I didn't feel
views.
like I missed anything.
No, not at all. You get to go to the temple. You get
Everything.
all the terrace views. You get to go through houses. You
See
get
the
to see the
llamas.
llamas. All that. And chinchillas everywhere.
Oh, chinchillas. Yeah.
That was super cool.
I didn't see any chinchillas in Chinchero.
There were no chinchillas in Chinchilla.
What?
No chinchillas in Chinchero. You're right. But there were plenty at Machu Picchu, and they were super cool and cute, and I loved it. But
It's like a big rabbit rat.
yeah, rat. I don't know.
tail.
Yeah, I thought they would look a little different, but
Oh, they're cute.
they were super cute. The boys really loved Machu Picchu. We lucked out.
Oh,
so
the weather was
hardcore.
perfect.
Wow.
Perfect. Gorgeous day.
I've seen so many people like share pictures of getting to Machu Picchu,
Stuck in the clouds.
like stuck in the clouds. And yeah, the clouds move, and then 10 minutes later it'll be sunny. But like, so many people go up there covered, like wearing ponchos, and we got there and we were hot, and it was beautiful and perfect, and the clouds just kind of gently rolled through, and
yeah.
it was a dream Machu Picchu.
But like
day.
I remember like on the bus and like just seeing it, and I'm like, wow, that's Machu Picchu. That's impressive. And
Yeah.
finally getting to see it in person is so much more incredible than just seeing, of course,
Yeah.
video of, not Geo or pictures or whatever.
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
Well, and one of the things we talked about in our podcast episode, just like talking about our Peru trip and our itinerary, was with hiring guides and actually like doing guided tours, it makes a complete difference in how you experience things. And for us with kids who have lots of questions, especially in places we haven't been and on subjects that we don't know a lot, having guides who are like the epitome of knowledgeable and patient made the trip extra awesome, because they could ask anything. Guides were down to talk about it all, pose everything back as a question, just like a teacher. It was great. I loved it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
and they did too.
Yeah.
They love getting questions, right?
Yeah. But yeah, that was basically our time there at Machu Picchu. We actually never
We were
mind.
there for what, like 3.5 hours or something,
Yeah,
walking
yeah.
around. I mean, definitely make sure you have water and all of those things and sunblock.
And then when we were done, we weren't spending another night in Aguas Calientes. We were going back on the train, but so I made a boo-boo.
Always check your train tickets.
Yeah, I made a boo-boo when I booked our train, and it had reset our return date to be the same as our arrival date, and I didn't notice it. So we go to get on our train that day to go back to Ollantaytambo, and they wouldn't let us board because our train tickets were for the prior day. So I ran to the office and explained, and they're like, no, you just need to buy new ones. So we had to buy the fancy tickets instead of the standard tickets. So we had another ride on the Peru Rail Vista Dome observatory car, which was lovely again. But we were able to get out, a couple hours later and make it back home, which thank goodness. And we just checked back into the same place where we had been the nights before, the Del Pilar.
Which is great because they held our luggage.
They held our luggage, so we
and-
didn't have to
yeah,
bring
yeah,
a whole
yeah.
bunch of stuff, which is awesome. And then that was the night where altitude
sick.
sickness hit me, and I haven't vomited that much ever in my entire life. And by the way, when we were in Aguas Calientes, we also made the decision to cut our time in the Andes short because it was so intense. So we opted to skip Cusco and just head straight down to sea level ASAP. So we changed our flights, changed our car rental for when we got back to Lima, changed our hotel reservations so we had a place to stay, all that. And I'm so
And then
glad.
we didn't puke anymore.
Well, I puked all the way to the jetway in Cusco.
Oh, yeah, just the jetway.
And it was very funny how nonplussed the airport staff was when I was vomiting. They literally, I'm sure everybody was just thinking, oh, there's another one just throwing up everywhere. Because, yeah.
But you had bags, so
Yeah.
we learned not only do we travel with toilet paper, paper towels, tissues,
Travel with vomit bags.
also vomit bags.
Yeah. But hey, as soon as we were back down in Lima at sea level, we all were just feeling like $1 million. And I was so glad because I couldn't do that again. Would you return to the Indies?
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I felt it was just,
Set the plan properly.
maybe it would be better if we were able to take our time getting up there.
Exactly right.
But man,
Because it was beautiful.
it was beautiful. It was remarkable and so unique, but
Yeah.
I was left in so much pain and so nauseous that I had a tough time imagining going back there.
Yeah. Just got a plan for it.
Well, so we'll see. Maybe I won't write it completely off, but yeah. Was there anything else you wanted to mention about visiting the Andes and all the stuff we did up there? Or?
Guinea pig's delicious.
Oh yeah, cuy. If you want to try something interesting, it's called cuy. If you see it on a menu,
I had the Kentucky Fried Chicken version, is what they call it, the KF.
yeah, it's interesting
KFC.
because it looks like chicken thighs.
I mean, it's just
It's delicious,
was good.
but there's not a lot of meat on one of those guinea pigs.
Not a lot of meat. That was the bummer.
It's a lot of work for a little
Not a
payoff.
lot. Yeah. And then a lot of potatoes.
And potatoes. So many potatoes. Good times. Well, that's it for now. We still have more to share about our time in Peru because we covered a lot of territory and saw lots of cool things. So check out our other episodes all about the Peruvian Amazon, just travel in Peru in general, and then also traveling down in Paracas and checking out the penguins and flamingos and all that cool stuff. So thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe if you're not already. Give us a nice little rating or just be quiet. And we'll talk to you later.
Ciao.
Bye. Two Travel Dads podcast is created by Rob and Chris Taylor in St. Augustine, Florida. We'd love to answer your questions here on the podcast, providing both our experience and stories to share our own insights into whatever you're wondering about. Visit twotraveldads.com/podcast-episodes to leave your questions and to check out past episodes and show notes. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and have an awesome day.